Today on the show, we're joined by Jon Stewart, a key voice behind the mysterious and controversial Victor Alien interview. Known for bringing this eerie piece of alleged alien disclosure in the light of the 1990s, Jon has long been the centre of UFO lore and conspiracy discussions. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, his insights offer a rare glimpse into the most talked about pieces of supposed extraterrestrial footage ever released. This interview was put together by UFO Shiv on TikTok, and we're joined by a multitude of different hosts asking Jon Stewart some important questions. So here's the 3-hour unedited version of the footage. Sit back and enjoy.
I was never into ufology or anything like that, but I was a child of the 60s and 70s, and in America, that's when documentaries started to really make their entrance on television in a wider fashion, more prevalent. And so the documentaries naturally were Bigfoot and UFOs and the end of the world. And so I was naturally it just expanded my mind to enjoying stuff like that, to anything conspiratorial or cryptozoological, whatnot. But I tell this story, it was 1997, and I was doing everything in my life that would not make me interested in ufology or conspiracy or anything. I was a young man that was living in downtown Chicago. I was running for the Illinois House of Representatives. I was a full-time automobile wholesaler traveling around the Midwest. I was a part-time pro wrestler on Friday night and Saturday night all over the country. This is not the lifestyle I'm trying to explain of a guy that's into ufology, right? Not saying I wasn't interested in it, but my mind was on, wine, women, song, making money, being a pro wrestler, you name it. And it's May of 1997, and I see this documentary getting teased on the upstart UPN network. And I'm like, alien interview? What is it, a weird looking humanoid on closed circuit television, looking for a job at the Pentagon? I mean, this is, how I thought. And as I'm watching this documentary, I realize that it's about a gray alien. It looks very unrehearsed, non-professionally produced. I think all of us can agree that this, if it was a hoax, was not elaborately done. Meaning, I say to people, the medics were not in pressurized suits. They show the outline silhouette of two Army or military personnel in the foreground. There is a stool left on the other side of the table from the alien. Letters on the bottom of the screen that don't correspond to anything that is searchable back in 97 as far as our government. Just a horrible hoax if it was a hoax. And the gray alien is tan, and it doesn't have almond eyes. It's got round eyes. And I'm going, I'm not smart, but I'm wise. I'm emotionally intelligent, and I know a hell of a lot about Hollywood, video production, TV production, you name it. From myself writing scripts for Hollywood that didn't get bought, from video TV production as a pro wrestler, from being on the periphery of the industry, I knew enough to say to myself, I don't know what it is. And I hope, gentlemen, I hope you appreciate what I'm about to say. Because after $30,000 of my money in 6 years and being stalked by the government electronically, I can look in the camera and say, I think I know what's going on, but I still don't know what the hell is going on, if that makes sense. And I said to myself, something is not right here. You can't be this stupid as Hollywood producers to not put those medics in pressurized suits. And on top of it, they're in short sleeve scrubs. You don't waste money on wardrobe, casting, transportation, catering for two individuals where all you do is put them in the foreshadow. The two military people that we see the shoulders at times. And one actually picks up a phone to allegedly call the medics. And after this video was done, and well, let me break that. And on top of everything, still to this day, the most intelligent human being I have ever heard speak. I have had dinner. I have befriended senators, royalty, um, billionaires, tech people, hedge fund managers, real estate magnates, the smartest individual, the most intelligent individual I have ever heard speak was the whistleblower Victor. And there is no way, and I've proven it, that Victor was a hired actor and given a script. Just, it's not possible. The verbiage he used was too inside, was too technical. And I've had many people in programs, government projects, classified government projects that all told me, four of them, that guy sounded like one of our project leaders. That guy's the government. Come on, what are you kidding me? That's not an actor. So I'm here to tell you that whistling past this and giving it a glance, you see an alien's head, it's all black for 5 seconds. Oh, fake. Gotta be fake. Because how in the world could human beings see a real alien? I mean, that's impossible. If there is such a confirmation bias with people seeing the possibility of an actual extraterrestrial for the first time in humanity, that your brain goes to a default switch and it's immediate, got to be fake. And I'm here to tell you, number one, and I'm sure we'll get into it, that I have not found one person in 6 years. Hollywood, the UFO world, government whistleblowers, people in this project who have told me it's fake, it's a hoax, it's not authentic. Not one person with, I think I'm been pretty easy here. I am asking for one verifiable piece of information that I could take to an FBI investigator, a court of law, a special effects person to say it's fake. This is exactly why it's fake. I am a former car dealer. I could tell you 50 ways why a Toyota is a Toyota. I have yet to find one person from all of these disciplines to tell me, oh, did you see that right there? That is this, which means it's fake. Not one person. And everyone can, oh, it's been debunked. No, it's not. No, it has not. Not one person has ever come forward to say, I definitively can show you right there that's what's fake. In the opposite, a special effects person came forward, and I'm not getting ahead of myself, to tell me he doesn't have creases under the armpits. I've never seen a foam animatronic doll that didn't have creases somewhere under the armpits. I don't know how that was done. That's the stuff that I've been getting for 6 years on this investigation, which I'm sure we'll get into. So it was this, wait a minute, this can't be that bad of a hoax that hooked me. And Victor.
Lovely, thank you.
Amazing, mate.
Sorry, I don't mean to be hyper, but I get very.
I love the energy.
Mate,
So I get,
Honestly, we're all very passionate.
I get passionate because it's 30 years. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go
I get
ahead.
passionate because it's 30 years later. It's 30 years later, 6 years later of my investigation, $30,000 of my Italian Irish wife's money. And not one person in the world can say to me, here, do you see the shoulder blade? Yeah, did you see the hump? That's an animatronic part. You can buy it at the animatronic science surplus. Here's the website. Here's what it looks like on another animatronic creature. And it's fake. Great. 6 years, it's crickets. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Sorry, I hate to tell you the truth, but it's the truth. No one's come forward. So.
Fantastic.
I'm going to pass the question over to Matt.
Yeah, John, can you elaborate on the methods and sources you used during your investigation
Sure.
to verify the legitimacy of this tape? Now, I want to make my thing on this is I believe this tape to be real. So I'm not one of them that's saying this is fake. I believe this tape to be real. I just want to know what you have done and where you've gone to get the information. So can you talk us through that? How did it start?
Yeah. Oh my God, absolutely. You're I get a lot of heat on the internet because I'm a crazy hyper Italian former pro wrestler. And I take ownership of that. But I one thing people do like about me is I'm self-effacing. I'm a nincompoop. I'm not smart. I've never been smart. I got instincts. I'm wise. I model people. That's why I've been successful, somewhat successful in wrestling or business. I model people. I don't make things up on my own. And so I say that because I didn't know anybody, guys. I didn't know anybody in the UFO world, really, the military world. This dingaling had to break into the highest secure facility ever built, known to mankind, the S2 Alpha, S4 facility, whatever it holds. I had to break into that 30 years in the past where 90% of my witnesses were dead. Think about that. So one thing I did remember from all of my documentaries that I watched as a kid was, and I'm sure you guys would agree, when someone comes forward to do a documentary, they wrote a book, they're writing a book, they're coming forward with information, exposing something. Oftentimes, someone in the know with deep information on that subject matter reaches out to contact that person, right? I mean, there's many examples of this. Whether that information is true or not, people come out of the woodwork that might know what you're talking about to help you along. And I said, I don't know anybody. Let me call JeffRentz.com. Jeff Rentz, this one of the oldest internet radio shows, been around forever. And I just wrote him a very simple email. I don't know anything. I have a feeling something is wrong with this video. Can you help me to talk about it, to maybe draw somebody out to help me on this investigation? Jeff Rentz writes back, thank God. I believe the video is real. I would love to have you on. And can you come on Friday? You know, so number one, I put myself out into the public, which was stupid, which opened me up for a lot of criticism. But I put myself out into the public to be a bird dog, you know, to be a dog whistle for people. And when I went on Jeff Rentz, knock on wood, 2 weeks later, I started to get my email from my main leaker, who is still, after 6 years, my main leaker. I found out he was a senior citizen, philanthropist, in a metropolitan city. If you Googled his name, you would find him on the red carpet with his elderly wife. Keep saying about elderly, because I don't believe a 75-year-old wealthy philanthropist businessman has taken the time to hoax and lie to a bust-out pro wrestler, retired car dealer. I think you would probably agree with that. And he contacted me 2 weeks after the Jeff Rentz program, saying, I caught you on Jeff Rentz. You got some things right, got a couple of things wrong. I have a lot of knowledge about this program. I was assuming the alien program, the alien examination, or, you know, the reverse engineering, you name it. And over the course of 9 months, this man proceeded to wade me, check me out to see if I was worthy of, you know, getting obviously what he was going to bestow on me. And so that was one of my sources. And on my birthday, he gave me an inside document, retranscribed, of the military men in that room watching that alien interview. The date of that interview, what kind of being it was, how the film leaked out, who leaked it out. It was amazing. In waiting those 9 months, also, I contacted people like Richard Doty, who everybody goes, oh, Richard Doty, didn't really help me that much on the ins and outs of the video. Doty specifically told me, I remember when it came out, I choked on my my lunch in a cafeteria with Hal Putoff in his research facility, because I knew that was real. I knew that film was real. And Doty said, I don't know much about it, but I know the facility where this retention and interrogation program took place. And I'm like, okay, how do you know about this facility? And Richard Doty said, I have the DD-214, where I was the counterintelligence agent of this building, top level and the underground floors. You know, wow. But then he says, but I never saw that alien or any alien actually up close. And I thought that extremely interesting that a counterintelligence agent would back the story off to say, never seen one in person, instead of telling me, yeah, I've got all the information. Just follow me down the primrose path. And going back on podcast day after week, kept drawing out intelligence people, people in the program. A Sergeant Munoz, who was in requisitions for this facility, admits, yes, it was the alien housing center for interrogation and retention. I got the lunch schedule for this facility. I had other people clandestinely write to me in the military. John, the film is real. I can't tell you. I can't say it on camera. The program is real. And on and on and on it went. Like I became the Pied Piper, this therapist of intel agents who would rejoice in coming to me and like bestowing me with information, like in a catharsis or something. It was truly bizarre. But I was being trusted, and I'm explaining how I got this. I was being trusted in the intel community because I would do exactly what I was told to do. I did exactly what they told me not to say, what areas to stay away from, like the classifications of aliens, something I've never breached. I don't know if that was a test, but it was something I was asked and proven that I could follow directions. And that must have permeated through the intelligence community that this guy's sincere. He saved a Chicago a Veterans Administration hospital from closing by his home. He's all about the military and veterans. He's trustworthy. He's a decent person. He's not thumbing his nose at the government or the intelligence community. Help this kid. And they did. And they gave me the entire situation. On top of that, again, trying to prove it was a hoax. You have to remember, I went at this trying to prove it was a hoax. I contacted 7 now special effects people. I paid $2,500 to a guy that National Geographic's hired to do the analysis of the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot film. He came back with the same thing. Can't definitively tell you one way or another, but the creases under the armpit, I don't know how anyone could have pulled this off.
Did they tell you a cost, John? Did they give you a cost on how much it would cost to recreate that, to fake it?
Did he give me a cast? I don't understand what that means.
A cost of how much it would cost to do something like that.
Great question. So I get lambasted for this, and I don't know why. All I'm doing is relating information. So will you bear with me as I go down the cost structure and who told me what? I think it's important. A retail special effects house production company told me that alien, which the special effects people have told me, the neck's too narrow for it to be a static hand puppet. The mouth moves open and closes. The skin around the eyes moves. One eye is misshapen than the other at times. It's a 5-person animatronic, foam animatronic being. 5 people. Okay, so that retail production house gave me a cost of $210,000. Now, a vice president of Disney Animatronics, who is the liaison, I guess Disney hires, does job out some contract work, or he is the liaison or the overseer of the animatronic studio in Disney. He belted out $90,000. Vice president of animatronics. He has some kind of funky title. Okay. I've had other effects people tell me, well, if you hired me, I'm a small boutique animatronic studio, 60 grand, 50 grand. Now I had a guy named Vincent Gostino, a private special effects person who we fight all the time because we're both Italians, but I love the guy. And he's amazed that I keep talking to him because he's like, I think it's fake. And I'm like, well, tell me why. I can't learn if you won't tell me. He claims he could do it for $8,000 to $10,000 in his garage in a weekend. So, you tell me. I mean, regardless of what you believe, that is one hell of an animatronic alien in 1996. The skin moves in micro movements. I've had special effects people write me off the record, John, the eyes are biologic. We can't fake that. At the end of the video, the alien kind of slumps back. He looks exasperated. He's like, Disney can't fake exasperation in a foam animatronic doll, especially in real time. I've had those kind of emails. I've had emails telling me, notifying me about the eye. One eye is bigger than the other. One eye is flat on the bottom at one point. The micro movements. Why would you spend $2,000-$3,000 putting radio controlled cables in the eyebrow, move it microscopically so that it would only show up 30 years later in a hyperanalysis? Why would you do that? In the mouth opens like this. Simultaneously, instantaneously, the mouth looks like a fish, a bluegill fish, where it's like angled. It's round in one. I got special effects people. They can't tell me why it's not circular all the time. The foam coming out of the doll. Well, we could put a tube down its throat and okay. It doesn't show the whole doll. Okay, here's what everyone needs to know. That is not the original footage. Yes. From Victor on a VHS tape, the footage shows the entire body in its blue hue. The color of the film is staticky and bluish, like a closed circuit security camera. The production company darkened it for theatrical ambiance for the documentary. Can people understanding? So when you see it so dark, that was the production company that did that. That was not the way it looked when Victor handed over the tape. You see arm, you see the thorax, okay? You see the entire shoulder complex. Again, the chest, the thorax. No attempt to hide anything. We show where the creatures turn to our right, its left. There's nobody behind it holding a hand puppet. One person, special effects person, told me, and he's on the documentary. Well, there's one time, and I can't explain how they did it. If you're a special effects person for Warner Brothers and you can't explain how a schlocky second-tier video production company with no money did something on an animatronic doll, what the fuck are we talking about? What do you mean you can't explain it? Doesn't that lend credence that maybe we're looking at something that's real? It's the movement where the being, remember, they've all said we don't believe someone's got the hand up the head. So at one point, the being, because they said it's on a pole, stuck, motionless, the being gets up and at the same time moves forward, cocks the head, and then puts his chin down. 5 movements where they all said the thorax, the main body, shouldn't move. It should be on a pole. Well, now what do we do? So I have all these people. I call it the alien interview tap dance. Da 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 da. It's this. It's that. It's Do you have one piece of evidence conclusively? No. Okay, then I'll keep going on. So that's the level I went to prove myself in this video a hoax is unprecedented. It's unprecedented. No UFO researcher goes out to disprove their own material. If you can find one, I'm all ears. I have, I have done everything I could to prove, including researching the monitor, including research the people. And one of the bombshells is, guys, I talked to the widow of the doctor on the being's right, our left. She identified, that's my husband. Let me repeat that. I have an 80-year-old woman saying the doctor on the being's right, our left, is my husband who's deceased, my husband of 20 years. Now what do you say? I'm still lying? The video's still a hoax? It's crazy. Crazy.
John, hi. I'm also a John. Nice to meet you. UFOAnomaly.
Nice to meet you, sir. Thank you.
Victor is a huge part of this jigsaw puzzle, although he's kind of like an invisible. How did you actually find his wife?
I didn't find Victor's wife. I found the doctor on the aliens right, our left. His name is
Oh.
Dr. Wilford Webb Wilson. But I'll tell you
there
how
you
I
go.
found Victor. So if anything, you all of you men have to promise me when I leave this broadcast, you will at least acknowledge the credit I give to the internet. Because the internet, the angels, the researchers on the internet were my co-pilots. I could not have done this without brilliant, open-minded people on the internet who literally helped this dumbass, me, feel his way through this whole project. And about a year and a half ago, somebody emails me. The redacted, darkened photo of Victor has been lightened by somebody on Reddit. What? You know, we can see who Victor at least looks, his facial features. Is it Bob Lazar, George Knapp, Bob Dean, right? All the Whitley Strieber, all the usual suspects. So I go onto Reddit and I'm like, oh my God. And Victor looks like a 1980s American Southern pro wrestler named Arn Anderson with this beard, no upper lip. So I go back to the director of the documentary, Jeff Broadstreet. I pay him $750. It was $500, then another, it's actually $1,000. I'm sorry, 2 payments. I got the first name, Stanton. Okay, Stanton. I write back, Friedman? He's like, no, not Stanton Friedman. Long story short, we had a first name, we had a face. We still could not find him. We had so many close calls. I ended up paying $4,125 via PayPal. Folks, can you imagine writing a check for $4,000, which your wife would say? I wrote it to Jeff Broadstreet because he realized once he gave me the full name and where they picked Victor up, what city, it was kind of game up. He had no more ammunition. I PayPal'd him. An hour later, Victor's name. Now, let's be clear here. This is what the director was shown on a social security card, not a driver's license, but he was scribbling notes. Okay. Victor showed Jeff Broadstreet in 1996 a social security card that read Stanton John Willett. And when I said, oh, you mean, could it be John Stanton? We said, no, Stanton John Willett, the first 3 letters of the American Social Security number, 262, which meant he was born in Florida. The great thing is, he said in 96, he flew in from Phoenix. In 2008, because remember, Victor comes back for a follow-up documentary. We picked him up in Rancho Cucamonga, California, which is kind of a northeast suburb of Los Angeles. Now, that's huge. That means we can go back to this town, distribute flyers, go to the local press, which we are in the process of doing. We then paid a private investigator to research Stanton John Willett. He's a ghost. There is nobody, this is incredible. There is nobody in the United States, the history of the United States, who was born Stanton John Willett. And then we had another leaker tell us that he had after the documentary, he had got an assumed identity, which he says in 08, I'm on the run. He got an assumed identity, but most importantly, what we were told in this briefing, another briefing 2 months ago, was that he was ordered to do this by an ancillary group of MJ-12, and it was part of a public acclimation program to help acclimate and desensitize the public towards eventually seeing actual extraterrestrials. So that's how I got Victor's name. I did think it was Stan Deo. It's not. His name is Stanton John Willett, and he is a ghost, which we've been told by intelligence people. That's typical, prototypical sheep dipping where the intelligence community wipes your bio. May I also say this? The doctor on the aliens right, our left with the widow, there is nothing on this doctor of 40 years on the internet except when he was born, when he died, in a 5th grade picture of him at his grade school. Not he gave away his daughter for marriage, right? Not his office hours, not that he had a hole-in-one at the country club, nothing. Nothing. Sheep dipped, completely erased. So will we ever find Stanton John Willett or his assumed name? I don't know. They can't erase neighbors. they can't erase childhood friends. So hopefully when we go to Rancho Cucamonga later this year, someone will recognize the photo. I'm sorry for being long-winded.
Don't worry about it. Could I just come in for a second? I was going to ask on another spectacle. If this tape was potentially, I don't know, in a different universe, if this wasn't real for whatever reason, but if the Victor tape was created by the government not to reveal aliens, but to test the public's reaction to alien disclosure, wouldn't that make it like the ultimate psychological weapon in potential?
Absolutely, and I'm so glad I came on simply for that question. That's a great question, and I appreciate that very much. I have told everyone, and this is the skeptics talk, because they can't freaking bury me totally underground, is that I tell everyone I am 85 to 87% positive that this is authentic. There's 15% of me, because of what a person from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base told me, that just don't be surprised on an outside chance the government recreated this. And Dr. Stephen Greer also said the same thing. John, I'm almost positive it's real. Don't be shocked if the government recreated that event and put it out as part of a public acclamation, listen to this, as part of, one intelligence person said, their alibi. Whoa, wait a minute, America. Don't throw me in jail. I did try and tell you aliens were real. I recreated this film and put it out to show you. I couldn't show you the real one because I would be arrested for classified documents. But we recreated it, so we're great guys. Let us go. Forget about the money we laundered and the people we might have murdered. We did try and tell you. So I am not, no one's going to hurt my feelings if I'm told I find out the government did this, which is a real outside possibility. And I hope people appreciate that.
That's the only thing I'd say, John, that I believe this tape, and I think if it is a fake, it's a military-made one. It has to be, and it's probably a recreation of something that actually happened. And that's what leads me to say that I think if it is a fake, it has to have been Bill Moore that released it, because there's letters that says that he was in possession of these tapes and he actually did a recreation. And I tried to get it up with Thingy. We wanted to show you this. I don't know if I've sent it you in an email in the past, but it's fascinating, and I think there's a connection with Bill Moore and this tape.
Well, it's interesting. Let me go really deep here. Bill Moore is so entwined and neck deep in all of the ufology that I wouldn't be surprised. But can I tell you, the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, this is the three-letter agency, ladies and gentlemen, that's running the umbrella on all things extraterrestrial acquisition, retention, examination, you name it. They're the top, and it pyramids down from them. From a DIA memo, they say a Joseph Yeager was the person to help disseminate this to Victor and Victor to rocket pictures. Joseph Yeager, we finally found out after 9 months, was a State Department employee. He worked for the DIA. He was disgruntled. And Rick Doty also says that he believes Yeager was part of, after the cameraman took this off of Area 51, of disseminating it and getting Victor to sell it to rocket pictures. However, to find out that Bill Moore is part and parcel with this, oh my God, wouldn't surprise me at all. Would not surprise me at all.
What did you make of the? Have you seen the John Lear interview with George Knapp, 1987, where John Lear actually mentions this tape? He mentions this tape 10 years before it's released. So there's something.
Thank you.
There's something. If people investigate, there's something there. Yeah. And there's a letter there by John Lear to someone called Stevens, where this is where I get into Bill Moore. That there's this tape coming out. Now, it came out 10 years later, but the fact that it was spoke about 10 years before and they described it, and then it comes out, it's got to have been deliberately made by the military because of the cost of it. It would make sense for them to put cost in it because of what they wanted to achieve by throwing this out there. They threw it out in the wrong decade for me. If they'd have thrown it out now, it would have got more bang for its buck, but it got ignored.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say on it. I believe the tape. The only way it can be fake, it has to be military for me. Can't be
Can I tell
anybody
you
else.
another yeah? Can I tell you another bombshell? This is there's not a skeptic in the world with any intelligence that could possibly refutate what I'm going to tell you. The DNI burned on the bottom. Department of Naval Intelligence. I'll give it. Bob Lazar spoke about it years before that video. They could have got the Department of Naval Intelligence from Bob Lazar. No problem. It's the number 27. And it's the big, the middle bird to all the skeptics. When I found out from 4 different intelligence people who were stationed in around S2 Alpha and S4, the security clearance level is called Yankee White to get into the underground levels of this alien retention facility. And do you freaking know what Yankee White's security level number designation is? Everybody at once? The number 27. How the hell can a 20-something-year-old screenwriter, producer in Hollywood have any idea that the number 27 was the designation Yankee White, and that Yankee White was the security designation, the security code to get inside these programs? Give me a freaking break. The only people that would have known that would have been the military, which is why it's authentic, or it was filmed and recreated by the military. Period.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
And that's how the skeptics are. Oh, well, we're going to have another subject up next. They just dance around it. When everyone said it was Bob Lazar or John Lear or Bob Dean was Victor. And then you show Victor, he looks like a hillbilly race car driver in the South with no upper lip. Then they move on to something else. You can't say something and then Jon Stewart proves it absolutely wrong, and then not give me credit or not say, okay, we were wrong. It's just the bullshit of the UFO skeptics that makes me I can't wait to leave this community. And I put the documentary out in November of last year. I am leaving Thanksgiving of this year. I cannot wait to leave this community. I got myself off of social media for just the absolute rhetoric and antithetical and uneducated comments in propositions. And this community is just Lou Elizondo is our figurehead and keeps showing hoax photos.
We're with you. We're with you, John.
And you got Jeremy Corbell on News Nation with, questionable photos. And you got a guy, fucking extraterrestrial, that no one is debunked, and you're putting me in the closet. Don't worry, folks. I'm gone in Thanksgiving of this year. You won't have to worry about it.
John, could I just ask a question regarding the video as well? What's one detail in the Victor footage that most people overlook, but it might be the key to its understanding its authenticity? Like, is there one thing that you think is very specific?
Yes, it's the micro movements around the eyes. If you hyper close up, which is why I want to sign a deal, and we're close to it, with a streaming service, a Netflix, an Amazon, a Roku, you name it, to get enough money to put this thing. Here's another thing. All the skeptics, you think one asshole, I'm sorry for swearing, you think one skeptic would say, well, I'm going to put this through Topaz AI. Let's really examine it. No, they don't. We don't want to do that. We don't want to help out Jon Stewart. Okay, it's the micro movements of the ocular cavity. The skin around the eyes has micro movements. Why would you do that? Spend all of that money and move it minuscule in the mouth. The mouth seamlessly open without cut. That video is 3 minutes uncut. Why would you move the mouth? How could you? How could you do that when the only thing close to that was Men in Black, and that was a stop motion, small little animatronic doll that they had the mouth open. And the guy from Disney was like, "That's pretty freaking good," And a second tier video production company. So it's the micro movements. It's the number 27. These people can't get around it. You can't whistle past that. In 1996, a second-tier video production company did not have the technology to move that mouth as seamlessly as it did. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. And then have 4 different shapes of eyes. We show 5 different images of the being's face. One, it looks like a skeletal Halloween mask. The other one is the exasperation. Here's another one. One time, I call it resting bitch face in America. and older women, their mouths all going, I'm sorry, I'm being honest. So he has one time. So what you're telling me is a schlocky video production company got an animatronic person to make a mouth that opens round, a mouth that also can open on an angle, two chevrons up and down, and a mouth that can also have a resting bitch face. I mean, give me a break, please. Come on.
Hey, John, I have a question.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm not saying it's real, but come on. That money would be from the government to hire an animatronic person to do all those crazy movements. I'm sorry.
John, I just want to say I love your energy, mate. Big up.
Can I just take you back to Bob Lazar? You've mentioned Bob Lazar and S4 and Area 51 quite a lot over the years. I've never actually been able to find anything saying that you've actually spoke to Bob Lazar regarding this video. And also, I was just wondering, since obviously the Night Shift podcast where you found proof that Bob Lazar actually worked at S4, have you actually tried to contact Bob since then to discuss it? And you know, here's another thing the skeptics hate. Oh yeah, I've emailed Bob, have emailed Bob regularly. I just emailed Bob 3 weeks ago. Bob has been great. Bob does not know Victor's name. Stanton Willett. Bob does not know. Remember him? Showed Bob the artist rendition because the director sat with me and an artist in like a police sketch of what Victor looks like. We have that. Bob doesn't know him. We have Bob on the EG&G entry log, being there for 92 days. Bob Lazar was at Groom Lake legally for 92 days. What he did there, I have no idea. It doesn't say. But he was allowed on Groom Lake for 92 days. He is on the entry log. That's how I know Bob Lazar was there. Number 2, I do weird things. I go really weird because it's the weirdness that you can catch liars. Ask somebody that claims to be at S4. He cleaned up the facility. Was there like SEAL Team 6 janitors that had mops? Who mopped the floor underneath the alleged containers for the aliens? If you looked at a microscopic tissue of an alien, it was the guy that cut it off the alien. Random. So I had an intel person stationed at the infamous S4. Our S4 is the level. It's not the Bob Lazar hangars and metallurgy offices. And the guy said, I asked him, and he showed me the lunch. I said, tell me about the lunch. And he's like, what? I said, tell me about having lunch. Right? What a way to prove a liar. You know, I can tell you all the little nuances of backstage of being a pro wrestler in a nanosecond. There's nothing I don't know. I would think the same way for somebody that's been in these facilities. He said, he writes me back the lunch schedule at S4. And boom, 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 boom. I asked him, was lunch special? You know, did they make you special meals and steak and lobster? He writes back like with the emoji laugh faces. He's like, no, the lunch was horrible. Middle grade cafeteria. Thank you. I emailed Bob Lazar about the 4th time I emailed him. I said, Bob, can you tell me about the lunch at S4? And I didn't say anything else because I'm a blabbermouth. I'll give myself away. Bob, I said, was it gourmet or run of the mill? Bob Lazar writes back like, I have like 3 LOLs. He's like, no, not gourmet. I would point it as bad 7-Eleven. That's our American convenience store, you know, the little mini mart. He said, I would point it as bad 7-Eleven prepackaged sandwiches. So funny, Bob Lazar in 2 minutes would say the same thing that a guy that I know, that I saw the DD-214 was at S2 Alpha. Same thing with Rick Doty. Rick, what's the food like? He's like, cafeteria, cattle call. Because I was told, oh, it's this gourmet food and blah, blah, blah. Bob Lazar didn't say that. So I have the lunch. I have the Department of Naval Intelligence is real. We proved, that's another thing. Me and my team and helpers proved one of the biggest bombshells in ufology, that the Department of Naval Intelligence is real. And Bob Lazar first told us about it, when we all said he was full of shit because it was unsearchable. I have a Navy aviator that was recruited by the department, not office, Department of Naval Intelligence. I have a CIA director level person who's retired that told me accidentally, no, the Department of Naval Intelligence is real. We have a conference brochure that says Major Pinslow, Department of Naval Intelligence. So do you think this would be all over the internet? Jon Stewart on News Nation, George Knapp specials, that we've proved Bob Lazar's story is at least partially, completely true. This fictitious 3-letter agency is real. We proved it's real. And so that's another thing that makes Bob Lazar's story hold and pass the grade. We researched the federal tax ID number. Every company in America has to have a federal tax ID number. The IRS told a researcher, Robert Osler, he used to be with NASA, that federal tax ID number is classified. We can't tell you anymore. I thought the Department of Naval Intelligence is fake. So, let me tell you something. And I hope you appreciate this. I hope your listeners appreciate this. I don't know what the hell Bob Lazar did out there at Area 51, but don't bet against him that he was there. Listen to me. Don't bet against him that he wasn't there. And I've heard this guy talk about physics for 3 hours on a lecture. So I don't know what the true story is. And I hope people can appreciate that. But again, like this video, something is not right with Bob Lazar's story, meaning it keeps getting legs to the table. It keeps having a stronger foundation. He gets everything right. Now, can I just say something? Why doesn't he debate Eric Davis or another physicist, Eric Weinstein, who's a jagoff, by the way? Why doesn't he debate him, arrogant jagoff? Why doesn't he debate him? Why doesn't Bob Lazar debate a physicist? That doesn't make sense to me. If you called me that I was not a real pro wrestler, I would run to your studio that moment to debate anyone, Vince McMahon, The Rock, The Undertaker, anyone, because I could run circles around them because I was a real pro wrestler. I wasn't not a real wrestler, but I was an actual professional wrestler. The only thing I can tell you is this, along with many people that I've heard about in these programs with Bob, it appears to me in my 6 years of research and $30,000, and I say that to just add weight, that the government back in the 80s and 90s had a fetish. Do you understand me? Had a fetish of hiring people for these programs that had credibility issues and that could be debunked. It's called a strongman theory or a strongman position, where you knowingly put somebody that's not credible. And if they get debunked, if they go rogue, you could say he doesn't know anything. He doesn't have a physics degree. Bob is the third person now that I have proven has been part of this S4 that you can verify the degrees a little bit. It's sketchy. And I think the government looked for these savants who didn't really have the straight line, formal parochial education. Does that make sense? Let's look at Bill Gates. These geniuses of the world, they can't sit in a college classroom for 4 years. They don't have the attention span for that regimented parochial education. And Bob Lazar, in my opinion, was one of these people that was a savant physicist self-taught to some degree physicist, and that's why he's not going on with other physicists, because eventually he doesn't have that formal training that would probably get exposed. That's not a cut down to Bob. That's just, I'm probably assuming why he has not proven his merit as a physicist. Probably because it was probably because he was not fully formally trained. And I ended with this. Look who the intelligence community is surrounding and helping. Me, a used car dealer, former pro wrestler, and a politician from the city of Chicago in Cook County, which is the most crookedest county in America. Why would they surround me and help me? Why? Because if I get traction, the New York Times, Good Morning, ABC television, 60 Minutes, they could say, you're going to believe a used car dealer? You know, or it's already happened with the bots. The used car salesman. I was a used car salesman. I thought I owned a dealership, but okay. You know, pro wrestler, you know, crazy Italian. It's already happening. It's already happening. Because if I go on 60 Minutes, they're fucked. And this is the way to look at 60 Minutes and go, do you really think a retired used car dealer? But then, as one intel person did, and I'm not bragging, he called the governor of the state of Illinois. Oh, wait, what? Because I ran for governor. Governor, can you tell us about Jon Stewart? Yeah. I can't tell you a lot, but there's nobody in politics that says a bad word about him. Oh. He goes, then I called the Better Business Bureau. This is the agency that rates all businesses in America. Do you know you and your dad's car lot had an A+ rating with no negative comments in 40 years? Oh. And you've been married for 25 years? Yeah. Oh. Did you ever go bankrupt? No. Did you ever get arrested? No. Speeding. Yeah. You're screwed. I don't have a credibility issue. I've had some wild occupations, but I don't have a credibility issue. And that terrifies some people. But this is the reason, in my opinion. What do we have now? I have 11, 12 members of the intelligence community, the government, these programs who have come forward, risked everything to give me information. Why are they doing this? Because I think the intel community sees me as a safe bet and a total straw man. I really believe that.
Can I ask, other than this, the video that Victor came out with, was there any other type of evidence that he had, maybe photos or any kind of files or anything that he had?
Another great question. Thank you so much for that question. Thank you. In the report, the philanthropist senior citizen, that was my main leaker. He sent me a report that his friend in the DIA looked at and retyped. Does that make sense? So they didn't violate, disclose, top secret document, federal law. In that document, it said that not only was this film stolen, but a cache of documents, and on the front of that file was read, quote, the United States government's examination of extraterrestrial beings. And in that was autopsy photos, material related to crashes, to the disposition of beings, to their planet or star system of origination. Much of the stuff that Bob Lazar said that he saw was also in this cache, and that has also disappeared. But yes, so that's a great question. And we have the project leader back in the 80s and 90s, Major Thomas Mack. He hand wrote a letter to a internet person that said, it's all real. I was the project leader. I was on the United States Air Force Government Advisory Board. I was head of Project Aquarius, that's my specialty, which was the umbrella project of all contact with off-planet extraterrestrial beings and Homo sapiens sapiens, human beings. And he said, I was the leader. He died 6 months after sending that email. True story. But his son, who gave us a picture of him at Area 51, his name was Major Thomas Mack. He loved by people inside the program, said that his family had a history of cerebral strokes around in the 50s, and that's when Thomas Mack had one. I just find it funny that after 6 months of the most explosive email in history, not only did he electronically write that email, he hand wrote a letter stating the same thing. He died 6 months after exposing that information. Make of it what you want.
That's incredible, mate.
Yeah.
John, my name's Grant. I run UAP sightings worldwide. John, is there any information on where the being actually came from, and what any sort of information on what was being said during the interview?
I want to break in with that. Can I also tell all of you and your viewers, again, here's another thing. Shh. No, did this happen to Jon Stewart? Oh, God. He's going to prove it's real. Do you know that the Future Forecast remote viewing team with Richard Dolan in the session, Richard Dolan is a UFO guy, right? Totally credible. With Richard Dolan in the session, the remote viewing team, 5 people, blind study, all said the same thing. Tan-colored being, he is sick. There's military people surrounding him. It's in a no man's land because the S4, S2 facilities are in nuclear fallout areas. Why would they say no man's land? They said that the craft did not hard land crash, that there was a partition. Sure, the glass between the being and the military. And even Richard Dolan said after this session, I believe this is real. Number 2, the David Oates, he does reverse speech, whether you want to believe that or not, plays people's words backwards. He goes, I think everyone in the UFO community is really full of shit. But there's one person that I think is telling the truth. Do you know this Victor guy? Like, what? In reverse speech of Victor, he says, Zeta Reticuli, they're in my head, thought projection. Amazing. Anyways, so the DIA report, our American government agency that taxpayers fund, the DIA said that being was a type 2 cloned extraterrestrial biological entity. I found this out, that the tall rays cloned this type of being. It came from the Tau Ceti star system, which is in Zeta Reticulum, not Reticuli. The formal word is Zeta Reticulum. Because it's got that kind of neck, that gooseneck. But from the Tau Ceti star system, he was a type 2 clone extraterrestrial biological entity from the 1953 Kingman crash. So he was around the UFO circles for a while. We believe he was at Los Alamos, then Wright Pat, and then finally his disposition in 1989 was the S2 Alpha Alien Housing Center.
Wow, nice.
He died shortly after that in 1991. Around September of 1991 is when we think that this being finally was retired, or shed his body into another soul, because they say that they have souls like human beings. So interesting.
Lovely. Cheers, John.
Hey, John, I've got a quick question.
Go on, mate.
This is I'm Jason from Hallucination Hippies. Good to meet you.
Hi, Jason.
So in the unedited version of the footage, is it any more or less convincing in the sense of like the micro movements of the face? Can you see any of that more or less, or is it, sometimes when things get enhanced, it kind of kills, the kind of the factor of it actually being real. You know what I mean? Is original footage, can you see any of that at all, or is it any different?
Another great question. I had to, the skeptics don't like this. I had to take into account what's called pareidolia. How did that used car dealer know about that? Pareidolia, I think I'm pronouncing it right, is a distortion caused by video pixelation. And he's a douchebag, and he literally like a jilted lover has stalked me for 5 years on the internet. But I give credit where credit is due. He did the first hyper examination of the being's face. and notice this micro movement of the skin. And to get to your question, when you see in the bluish hue video, 20 seconds of it is on the original documentary. They show it on a computer screen. When you see that blue grainy closed circuit television camera look video, it's startling. It's like holy shit. This is like I'm looking at a closed circuit camera film, but like no one's trying to hide anything. Again, you see the shoulder, the arm, the torso. But the theatrically enhanced does, and other people that have tried to do a high res on it, yes, that does give you more of the skin, the ocular cavity skin movement around the eye, that you probably a little hard to see in the closed circuit camera type thing. Also, we have proven with 3 video experts that the original film was filmed on 16 millimeter. In 1996, the hoops that you had to jump through to get a 16 millimeter camera to find the film, the only bits of film available, which we were told in 96, when the earliest this could have been made, or the latest, were like 30-second bits of reel. And what did we find out? What the government was still using in 1991 for video documentation, or for documentation for the United States government, still using 16 millimeter. Wow. It just goes on. And again, I'm waiting for somebody to help me debunk it, because I stopped the investigation because I ran out of people that couldn't tell me why it was fake. And again, like this 16 millimeter thing, and then finding out the government used 16 millimeter in 91 when we were told the film was made, and then finding there wasn't any film stock to find in 1996 of 16 millimeter. I mean, on and on and on. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
Incredible.
I have something for you, John. So in 1997 on Coast to Coast, an image of that tape, a picture of it, was put up on Coast to Coast, and within an hour it was taken down and never seen again. Now, the person that shared that when they was doing the interview, it was Sean David Martin. Do you know Sean David Martin? Now, I reached out to Sean David Martin.
One of my good friends.
Yeah, but sadly, he passed away a couple of months ago, and when I reached out to him, he was dying, and I didn't know. He was nice enough to still email me back. He just said, I'm pretty unwell at the minute. I will get back to you. So I can't obviously follow up now. I'm just wondering if you've come across anything of this image.
I didn't hear that Sean died. His wife, Melissa, didn't text me. I just got a text from him.
He's died.
He did die.
Yeah, he passed away about 3 months ago, because I've got his missus. Well, I've got him on Facebook, and his missus keeps updating the account and stuff like that. How she had to move and stuff like that.
Oh my God! Because there was a rumor that he died, and so I went on internet media, be like, I'm so sorry to announce. Carrie Cassidy told me. 2 months later, I get a text message from Sean David Morton asking me a wrestling. I'm like, you're not dead? And so now he finally died. That's a shame.
Yeah,
he was so. Again, I cannot stress this enough. Here's a guy neck deep in the UFO community back then who tells me, I don't know who Victor is. I want to help you. Sean David is this, he that. Well, if he's this and that, he's certainly not very helpful, because he didn't really tell me anything other than that rocket picture did not produce that 3-minute tape. And if he took something down, maybe he wasn't allowed to put it up. I can't have any idea why he would or he wouldn't. Sean David Morton was convinced that was real. He was convinced to fake it. He said $300,000. He might be right. He did not know who Victor was. He was startled that Victor would read his newsletter. Would an actor do his research and go read Sean David Morton's newsletter and correct something in the newsletter? I mean, it just, Victor was not an actor. We all know this by now. But yeah, that's a shame that Sean died. That really breaks my heart right now, because he was a great friend. One of the funniest guys I ever talked to and spoke to. Always, when I was ready to jump off a ledge metaphorically and quit, he always gave me inspiration, keep going, and God rest his soul. It's really bad news.
Bless you, mate. Sorry for us to kind of break that to you. It must be quite tough out of nowhere, mate.
It's all right. Thank you.
I want to say one thing. Don't ever quit this, please, because you are a major cog in this system. I feel that we need you here amongst this, you know, along the grand scheme. We need you here. I'm just going to butt in quick and just ask a question. Throughout researching this and doing all that you've done, have you personally had any sort of experiences linked to possibly trying to delve deeper with this being itself? Have you had any kind of crazy experiences to do with this particular thing, or
it'd be really good if I said yes, right? No, I haven't.
Interesting.
I've had the only weirdness I've ever had in my life was from the United States government stealing my emails and potentially tapping my phone, my cell phone, proven by the Apple Corporation. And I have the case number, the director, and the woman that was handling my forensic audit. Wow. And I'm not so stupid. But weirdness? No, I am here to tell you, maybe it's because I had success in this. I've never been happier in my life. I am at such peace. I am closer to God, our creator, and the teachings of Jesus Christ than I've ever. I am not religious, but I am so spiritual. I have such a calmness in me. I don't know why. What is it? Was it researching this? And I don't know. I don't know. But I've never had any extraterrestrial interaction. I tell people that I had a voice in my head, which was, I think, my subconscious that made me start researching the monitor, which we really need to talk about too. That little green blip. But that was just my subconscious and my aggressive personality. That wasn't an alien or, whatnot. No, I've seen it. I've seen a couple of UFOs. One was this a metal cylinder, spherical ball in Arizona, and one was a light that did a loop-de-loop in the distance in Upper Michigan, in the United States. No, but I've never had any weird alien encounters. No weird UFO. No weirdness at all. But however, my spirituality, in touch with a higher power is off the charts. Explain that. I don't know.
Go on, John. Talk us through this communication device.
Yeah. Oh, the skeptics hate this one. Oh boy, they hate this one.
Go for it.
The special effects community. There's a little green blip that goes up and down, not across like a regular heart monitor. And the blip does not stay connected to the bottom. It actually hovers in midair. So it ain't an oscilloscope. So I'm dumbfounded. I get my first step into investigating this. God bless the internet. I find 3 PhD candidates that are doing for their dissertation paper the history of physiological monitors. You would think those are the experts in the world. I sent them the video of just the monitor. We have no idea what it is. I find out the only 2 people making physiological monitors in the early 90s, Space Labs, Hewlett-Packard. Space Labs made it for NASA. Good company call. The guy writes back, we're scratching our head. We, in the physiological monitor department, we don't know what this is. I get a 60-something-year-old guy from Hewlett-Packard on the phone in the research and development department of HP for physiological monitors. I mean, did I go to the top of the mountain or what? I sent him the clip. I call him back. Trusty old guy, ready to retire. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm like, well, everyone's telling me this. He's like, just tell me what this is, what you think this is. I said, you don't hang up on me and don't laugh at me. Allegedly, sir, this was taken from an underground government facility, and it's allegedly monitoring the physiology of an extraterrestrial being. There's silence on the other end. He's not hanging up. By the way, I've never been hung up on in this whole investigation. He's not laughing. He goes, quote, this is a physiological engineer. Well, that would make sense. I think you're looking at a one-off. I'm like, wait, what's a one-off? He said a one-off is something that's specially made. It's not in a production line. it's one or two of the device or the equipment made specifically for one person. And he goes, folks, I'm not joking here. He goes, and that would make sense because I don't think an alien would have the same physiology of a human being. So you probably have to design a special device to monitor their organs because a human being heart monitor wouldn't do the job. I had my cell phone. I had to bang my head with my cell phone to check me back into reality. I'm like, is this happening? This guy just said this to me. He goes, that's what I think you're looking at. It's a one-off. He goes, if you need any other help, feel free to call me back. Okay. Now I go on the internet with this. The used car salesman, he's full of shit. Oh, special effects people. I could take a laser and put it on a servo and bang it up and down and create that. What do you think I did? My daughter and I buy a 2024 laser. We put it on a servo. We get a pane of glass. We darken the room. We bounce it on the pane of glass. It shows through the pane of glass to the wall, which it doesn't in the video. And it's diffused. It's not this bright dot that it was on that monitor. Hold your horses. Now for this one, I get an email, one of my internet angels. This was about a year and a half ago. Mr. Stewart, there's a video of Whitley Strieber, the author of Communion, one of the most famous abductees in the world. He's talking about that monitor. Again, like the Reddit picture. I'm like, wait, this can't be happening. Maybe he's going to debunk it. The kid sends me the video. Whitley Strieber at a conference in 2016. I'm becoming Whitley Strieber. Do you see that video here? There's been a lot of controversy about this video in the past years. I think it's real, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's real. Do you see the green blip on the bottom of the screen? Whitley Strieber. I saw that exact same green blip out of the corner of my eye at my desk when I was writing the book Communion about my experience of being abducted by gray aliens. It disturbed me so much I would try and put my thumb over it, my hand over it. It would show through my hand. I could not get rid of this green blip. It looked exactly like that, and it moved like that blip on that screen. I think it was the way the beings were trying to communicate with me as I was writing this book. And I want to ask everyone, I never told a soul about that green blip until today, 2016. How the hell did that blip make it into an alleged hoax video? How did the producers know to put that green blip, the same green blip I saw from what I believe was gray aliens trying to communicate with me? Tell me that. Tell me how a producer would know that's how gray beings communicate. Period. Game, set, and match. Alien interview.
Can I just ask a question about the blip itself? Have you ever tried to look into it for any potential like Morse or binary communication? Have you tried to record the blips to see if there's any sort of thing there potentially, like different form of communication?
Wow, yeah, maybe run it through ChatGPT.
That's a great question. I never have, and that's something that when we get money, when we take this to a better production, that's something to look into, or even on my own. But can I tell you something? Now, finally, two normal skeptics come forward. One normal skeptic and another intel person. The intel person said, John, Mr. Stewart, these gray beings vibrate. They give off a vibratory emanation. You can feel it when you are around them. The monitor, I know for a fact, the monitor is there to pick up their vibratory emanations as some sort of a jerry-rigged system of the overall physiology of the being, right? Like if you were dying, maybe your vibrations would get weaker. I don't know. I'm guessing, but this is what he was saying in the email, that it's there to pick up the vibratory emanations of the gray being. Wait a minute. Now, a security guard comes forward in 1990, said he was in S4, but guarded only level 1 and 2 and was near the craft. He said they would put Vaseline. This video did not come out until 8 years after Bob Lazar. He said that he would put Vaseline on the back of his neck and the hair on their arms, because when they would walk by the craft that were still alive, they would give out like a static discharge. Don't you find it funny that a guy in 90 is saying the same thing a guy in 2025 or 2024 was saying to me, that the craft and these beings give off some sort of bizarre electrostatic, whatever, vibratory essence? I find that strange. Another young gentleman, nice kid, said that because remember, I still think we made that box, that device, to try and pick up the vibrations. And a kid from Bell Labs said he thinks it's a Bell Labs model, blah, blah, blah. It's on an email. Don't worry. I got it on email with the gain turned all the way to 2780 with megahertz of, okay, right. Beautiful. When I get more money, I will look down that road. So the Whitley Schreiber is game, set, match. So you're telling me Hinky, second-tier video production company, knew the security level number, the most highly secured facility in the world, and they also knew how extraterrestrials communicate, or that they vibrate, and they knew Whitley Schreiber, even though he didn't tell anybody. That's what Whitley Schreiber saw when he was writing the book Communion. You know what I want to say, but I'm not going to say it because I'm trying to be a gentleman. Give me a freaking break.
I'm sorry, John, but we've got a skeptic in our community. He's in the chat. His name's Freaked Out Danny, and he's been literally plastering me with questions for you. And one of those questions are, you've said that this footage couldn't be faked due to the technological capability.
I didn't say that. See what I'm talking about? I never said that.
Totally agree. You never said that.
I think
right. Okay.
I just said 50%. I think the government faked it. Why? I mean, you see?
Yes.
These skeptics are freaking nuts. Go ahead.
Danny has embarrassed himself yet again.
Jesus
Danny.
Christ.
From our skeptic of the community, Freaked Out Danny.
50%. I think it could be faked.
But he has said, but given the documented capabilities of industrial light and magic, Stan Winston Studio and others in the 1990s, what specific testable details in the video rule out puppetry, animatronics, or a small team staging this with practical effects?
Nothing does, except for the fact of the money. Follow the money, young man. You follow it in politics. You follow it in the mafia. You follow it in government corruption. Follow the money. Victor got $20,000 to do this. I have researched. Reicher Entertainment was paid about $90,000 for everyone, for Victor's pay, for the production, to give to Rocket Pictures. There was no money to create that elaborate of an animatronic puppet. And if there was, then I'm wrong. And I'm willing to admit that it's possible. But the fact that it was the person from this high-end video production special effects studio said, but there's one time I don't understand how they did it. And that's when the being goes forward, the head goes down to the right, opens its mouth, and it does another motion with its body. The guy's like, I don't know how special effects did that in one take.
John, I apologize if I missed this earlier on when I left the room a second. Did you answer?
Sorry, it's just frustrating.
Did you answer when the alien was crash landed? Because we spoke to Richard Doty just over a week ago, and he said it was from the 50s, and this was in the 80s. Now Richard I found that hard to believe.
Believe it. Look. I'm just telling you what I was told.
Yeah.
Victor said that it came to the facility in 1989. I had a big problem. I'm going to cut myself. I'm going to be self-effacing here right now. So get ready, skeptics. I had a big problem with this investigation. I didn't listen to people's words for face value. That was a mistake. When I went back and said, stop interpreting Victor's words. Take Victor's words for face value. First of all, I made a mistake and didn't do that. Victor said, quote, it came to the facility in 1989. Victor never said it crashed in 89. Victor never said it was crashed in 53, or I don't know when that thing crashed. All I know is that the remote viewers that said it's real said that it came down in what's called a controlled crash. And it came down in a wooded area where they saw pine trees. Doty says that he believes it's from the 1953 Kingman crash. So they had this thing for 46 years. I don't know. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. All I know was at the end of its life, when we were looking at it in 91, because it died shortly after that video was made. I have no idea where that being was from. We have other people saying that it was from the Kalahari crash in 1989. By the way, I found the skid mark in the desert of that crash, by the way. But that report, alleged reports that the beans were kind of bluish. This is a tan, peanut butter colored alien. So I have no idea. And I'm not going to pretend that I know where that bean or what crash site or how that bean came to the United States.
Fair enough.
John, I've got another question for the chat. Astralani asks, just because you were talking about beings there, it quite fits in. She was asking, how many beings have you heard of yourself? And if you can confirm any that you've...
Oh my God. Great question. Let me first give you the alleged facilities. Allegedly. Now, I'm not using notes here, so bear with me. Let's start here. That's a great question. Let's start here. Let's start with the facilities allegedly that housed beings. Allegedly, a certain room in the underneath the United States Congress in the 30s or early 40s, possibly the 45, I believe Cape Girardeau or San Antonio crash, San Antonio, New Mexico, Homestead Air Force Base, which many believe now did house at one time some of the Roswell bodies. Dugway Proving Grounds, Los Alamos, a laboratory at Stanford, S4, S2 Alpha, something that proves the Linda Holton's Special Operations Manual for the Recovery of Extraterrestrial Beings. It's called the Bermuda Biological Station, and the platform for the North Atlantic and Caribbean. This was an offshore platform that we believe, through testimony and research, from about 1951 to they were all transferred to S4 in about 64. This is where many of the live specimens were held, other than Wright-Patterson, the Blue Room, which is real. Also, Walter Reed Hospital. So those are the facilities that I have been told did at one time, still do whatever, and the Dugway Proving Grounds, Sandia Labs, did hold beings. I've had people tell me that there were a total of 6 beings at S4, S2, south of Area 51. They've all been returned. I don't know what that means. That they've all been returned. They're all deceased. I'm sorry. 5 deceased, 1 was returned. We helped return. That's what I was told. I was told, and as shocking as this sounds, that the count of dead deceased bodies in various forms, the whole body complete, an arm, missing a leg, is in the low 100s. Low 100s. And around 29 crashes. Make of that what you will.
Interesting. I've got a question for you. Thank you for coming on. I've been the one emailing you. So I watched a documentary that came out in November, and it came down after 4 days. I saw your tweet. Your team was threatened, bringing it out and stuff. And during watching it, at the end, you handed a massive box to Congress with all your research. Is there any update on that? Who did you hand it to in Congress specifically?
0. Sent it to Charles Schumer. Never heard anything. I sent 2 poster-sized snapshots of the alien with the medics above him to Nancy Mace, Congresswoman Luna. Poster-sized, this big. Nothing. No calls, nothing.
Wow. Sorry, just with these threats, you know who are making these, and because that's happened, that makes me think these videos are real. If they're threatening you and your team, it makes no sense. Why would they not?
Again, forget everything. I ask all this, forget everything I just said for the past hour. Why is the United States government, why did they tap my phones and steal my emails? So says Amazon, Apple. Why? I thought it's fake. What's the reason? Rick Doty asked somebody at the DIA in conversation, and he goes, do you guys ever know of a Jon Stewart? And the guy went, the DIA official. We know Jon Stewart. And Rick was like, holy shit. And he's like, that guy, his FOIA request, he set up trip flares with us. This guy won't stop. He just keeps calling and FOIAing. So let me ask you another question. I called the DIA, the FOIA department. Hi, my name is Jon Stewart. I haven't heard anything about my one FOIA. Here's what the nature of it was. He said, well, I see your quote. I see your name on our file system, but there on the FOIA request system, but there's not a file attached. I'm like, okay, what's the big deal? This kid, not knowing what he was saying, goes, well, you can't get on here unless you have a file attached. Somebody had to come in and remove it. And he kind of caught himself, but he's like, I'm going to call you back. Half hour later, this happy-go-lucky Air Force officer calls me back with, yeah, Mr. Stewart, yeah, okay, you're going to get a response letter in a day. We're going to send you it today. You'll get it in a week, and that's all we're going to say. Like, his name was Andrew. I said, Andrew, did I do something wrong? You sound totally upset. No, you're just going to get a letter. And I get the letter a week later. Remember, no one can get on this system without a file. Somebody went and removed your file. I get a letter. Because of the nature of your request, Mr. Stewart, we will have to conduct interdepartmental conferences and meetings to discuss how we will disseminate the nature of your request. Because of the nature of your material, we have to do this because of the delicate nature of your request. So these son of a bitches are going to go from Pentagon to the DIA to NSA to CIA for a used car dealer's letter about a hoaxed alien video? Give me a fucking break.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
Mate, no problems, man. Thank you so much for talking, man. You've been going firing off like crazy.
And then on that subject, you can still go interview. I'm just saying on that subject, that's all I have to,
I love his energy. I've always liked John's energy on this.
Well,
He brings his wrestling energy to it, doesn't he?
Well, I'm pissed off and I'm frustrated. I'm $30,000 light in my bank account. I got a crazy Italian Irish wife giving me the eyebrows like for 30 grand light.
Just to let you know, I did put some money in your pocket. I did actually pay for your documentary when it came out. I got it on the day it came out.
So you were the one. No.
That was the one, yeah.
I got the government tapping my phones and skeptics saying I'm full of shit. Hey, you know what? Stick it up your ass. It's ridiculous.
John,
ridiculous.
I've got a question.
Hey, I did it to myself, so what are you going to do?
That's it.
Did you come across any John Lay spoke about this YY2 facilities where it's like electromagnetic thing because they like to escape the facilities. They can actually walk through walls, these beings and stuff like that. Did you come across anything like that in your research on this alien interview tape? This is what John Lay mentioned in that George Knapp.
Well, there was somebody else that mentioned, and I don't know, that they had to build a metal netting, so to speak, over some of these beings because they did have the ability for
walking through
physically hyper transporting them, dissolving their physical molecules and, presenting them at another place, if I can use terrible physics vernacular. So yeah, I did hear one person other than John Lear's talking about this electronic webbing in some of the rooms or the containment cell that some of these beings were held in. Yeah. Some of them also had to breathe different types of oxygen or different types of atmosphere. Rather, there's a redundant story about it only being able to bring methane gas and how difficult that was. And crazy stories about the difficulty of housing these creatures. If it's true.
Have you come across any dark stuff, like what they'd feed on or anything like that?
Well, there's all kinds of conjecture that that as far as liquid, that they can disseminate or extract a tremendous amount of liquid from the humidity in a room through their body. A conjecture, just stories I've heard, that the scientists made a type of like a stick, like a candy stick made of like a whale blubber kind of constitution, because many of the beings don't have teeth, just like hardened dentin gums. There's other stories that some of them could digest certain vegetables. And of course, my sister-in-law, that knows nothing about anything with UFOs, has a boss whose father was a truck driver for a Las Vegas dairy in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And his story is that he delivered ice cream to Area 51. He had to unhook it, pick up the empty semi-trailer, drive it back. At the end of his story, he goes, the funny thing is, all I've ever delivered in 15 years was strawberry ice cream. And I'm sure we all know about the strawberry ice cream story that was in that documentary. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, why would a truck driver say at the end of this talk with my sister-in-law, and all they maybe deliver was strawberry? It was weird, like just a random fact. So those are my what do the beings eat stories, which I can't prove any of it.
So I think Dan wants to get into the New World Order thing you spoke about it with, what was it? Was it Night Shift? Night Shift.
Yeah. So at the end of the Night Shift podcast, you mentioned that you had some sort of information regarding the New World Order, and for me, you sounded very sort of concerned and worried about that. Now, I've got my own theories on the New World Order. I don't think disclosure is disclosure. I think it's completely something different, especially after everything what's been cracking off at the moment. I mean, the whole Luli Elizondo photo, like you mentioned earlier, is just an absolute joke. Who would actually take a picture like that into a hearing like that when it's not even been verified, especially when he's been caught out with pictures of chandeliers in the past? You've got them arranging a Congress hearing for the same week as the biggest case in show business in God knows how long. Which one of those cases get the media attention? And with the whole sort of Jake Barber thing, and there's a lot of focus on summoning these crafts in. There's no focus on your stereotypical flying saucer. And I do feel, me personally, I feel like this is all going to be leading to Jake Barber turning around and going, these are all demonic, let's all run for the hills. And me personally, I feel disclosure is the start of the whole Project Bluebeam and New World Order all in one sort of phase. But that's my own theory, John. I'd love to get your ideas and your views, and if you can actually share anything what you were saying on the Night Shift podcast as well, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'll be very blunt. I think the global financial implosion is going to occur at some point in the near future. I believe that this event will be the impact of this event will be lessened by the release of, and that there's aliens. Kind of a distraction, ease the blow that we're going to usher in, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, however you want to disseminate that, as further control of society. So I believe those two, and this is on very, very, very good authority of people that have never lied to me and have always been right. Every one of my intel leakers talks about 2027. Every one of the people that have come to me and emailed me from government, subcontracting agencies, scientific research departments, 2027. They know something is coming, something's on the horizon. What that's going to be, the particulars of that? I don't know. And I'm not going to pretend I do know. I do know that conveniently, the extraterrestrial phenomenon is going to be used to lessen the blunt of a complete global implosion and a financial reset of the global economy. I could tell you that. You could pretty much take that to the bank. And you could see it happening already. You could see the introduction of Bitcoin, the global currency. We're being electronically monitored, whether you like to know it or not. The fragility of the global economy, and you're going to need something to scare people enough to have them give up their freedoms electronically. You know, do I believe people are going to be in gulags and concentration camps? Oh God, never, please. Are we going to let people? Are we going to give governments of the world more intrusion into our lives electronically, financially, personally? Oh, bet your bottom dollar on it.
Mm-hmm.
Bet your bottom dollar on it, and it's going to happen.
Mm.
Why does every person that it's been an S4 is obsessed with the solar event, which is also coming? Why? Why is that? Are they all getting together, none of them knowing each other, to hoax a car dealer? Let's tell them this. You know, no. Everybody that's been in these programs have been told something very scary and catastrophic also about the sun, some solar eruption. So it's going to get, I told this to Patrick from Vetted, and he made a meme out of it, you know, a meme, sorry. You know, it's going to get real quick. And believe me, get yourself spiritually in order, and because 2027, it's going to explode, implode, and we're going to get a digital currency.
Have you heard any rumors of this huge UFO that Ross spoke about?
Ross Coulthard?
Yeah.
The UFO that's buried in the ground?
As a building supposedly built over it because it was too big to move.
I've read the story. I've seen the potential site. I've never asked Ross. I emailed Ross probably once a month.
Where was the potential
we never
site?
talked about that.
Where was the potential site? Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere.
Oh God, yeah, I get no. You have to understand the information. How much information I have in my head. It's a desert. It's New Mexico, Arizona, Texas. It's a desert thing, and from the picture, I just saw the picture, and it said alleged Ross Coulthard buried UFOs too big to move, and it had like and I could be wrong. I'm just telling you what I saw. I'm not vouching for it. It was a part of a dam or part of a government civil core engineering project, and they built an edifice over it.
Was it in Utah?
The only picture that I saw that said this could be it. Other than that, I've never talked to Ross about it, never researched it.
Interesting. I think you might be speaking about Utah. Are you on about Utah?
Yeah, it was in the desert somewhere. I remember a sandy desert climate, and it talked about this masking as a civilian Corps of Engineers project. And I don't know if that's the UFO. You know, it could just be somebody seeing a really large edifice built in New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Texas.
If you knew the location, would you say it?
Of course I would. I don't hide anything.
Yeah, there's so many people that know this location and they will not say it because they say it's a national security risk and it's used for laudatory purposes.
Bullshit.
I hate it.
Bullshit. No, you're looking at the guy who had the only documentary in human history that gave you names, dates, facilities, code names of CIA agents, revealed a leaker even though he was not the real leaker. I'm the only person that showed you the Bigfoot body at the end. At the end, I found the missing girl. No one in ufology is willing to give names, dates, facilities. I'll see you in the skiff. It's classified. Oh, kiss my ass.
What do you think about the missing children? What do you think about the missing children that's been going missing over the decades?
How do you explain that? I mean, is it really 200,000 children? Now I asked an FBI agent. He said, John, that's bullshit. only around 2,200 children a year going missing in America. Like, that's a small number. But he goes, it's not in the hundreds of thousands. I don't know. I would really like to see an unvarnished truth about that. Somebody like, even though I don't particularly like her because she gets so much positive attention, who's that girl with the dorky glasses? She writes books. She's a pretty good researcher.
Pasulka, I
Oh,
think.
no, not Pasulka. No,
Not
she's a
Pasulka.
young girl with weird 1950s pointed glasses. Pretty good researcher. I would like to see her what is the facts on this? You know, let News Nation or somebody like that really. Well, how many children are missing? I don't think it's aliens. I think it's a pedophilia network. You know, that obviously the United States government is slowly uncovering.
Yeah. 100%.
My guess, my opinion.
Could I be cheeky and ask you, is there anything that you could potentially disclose to us as on this channel that no one else has really known about before? Or is that a no-no?
Nothing's a no-no with John.
Well, I could give you the name of my main leaker. People would fall on their chair, but I'm never going to do that. Something I'll never do that. I will never do that. That's my journalistic integrity. Something that I've never said, never told people publicly. Oh my God! Let me reach into that conspiracy.
I'm sorry, my bad. I had to say.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna think of it. No, but I want to say something funny. Do you know that counterintelligence agent Richard Doty has an 8mm film? Are you ready? Of him playing 5th Pee Wee football. That I gotta see. I go to Doty. I'm like, wait, can you say that again? He's like, yeah, I've got film of me playing, like, midget football. I'm like, Rick, when I finally make it to New Mexico, we're gonna have a beer and you're playing that 8mm film. Okay, so that's my it's a
live
true
stream it
story.
to us.
Yeah. Oh my God. Shit. Just. Oh my God! Something I've never told anyone. I was yelled at by Colonel John Alexander once on the phone. Embarrassing. Oh, wow. I could be giving something away here. I have never told anybody this. My leaker, once a month, while he was on the board of directors of I'm not going to say, would go to someone's office to email me on a computer that wasn't related to him. Are you following me? I think he might have been having an affair with that woman also. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I should have fucking never said that. But
Can I ask a quick question, John? You mentioned John Alexander. Why was he shouting at you?
Well, my personality, and sometimes I disarm people immediately. On this day, I was hyperactive. Jim Cornette, Jon Stewart, and he's like, "Good morning," and first of all, my hands are discolored because my wife convinced me to get a spray tan for this podcast.
Oh my God!
I wonder why you were glowing.
You freaking think your life is hard? Okay, go live with the crazy Dago broad. No, I'm kidding. I love my wife. Anyways, so he goes, "Good morning." I'm like, "Colonel Alexander, this is Jon Stewart from Chicago. I'm an alien investigator. I'm investigating S4. Can you tell me? Do you know if there's ever been any aliens there?" He's like, "Slow down. My God, you're coming at me a mile a minute." And he said, "What now? What are you asking me?" I said, "I've been investigating S4. What is S4? I said, "It's allegedly an underground facility south of Area 51 for the retention and examination of biological and metal off-planet material." That's absolutely crazy. Is there anything else you want to ask me? I'm like, "Do you believe in the alien phenomenon?" He's like, "I really don't know who you are. And don't call me so early with these crazy questions and your type of personality that's shouting. Anything else?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, click. Linda Moulton Howe calls me the human fire hose.
John, there's
hey,
a lot of
UFO
questions in the
community.
chat.
I'm the only friend you got. So love me or hate me, I'm all yours.
John, is there anything you can tell us about Antarctica and what's going on down there? There's a lot of people asking in the chat.
No, but again, the totality of evidence, the mosaic that has been built about Antarctica, starting from Colonel Byrd back in the 40s, the Buzz Aldrin bizarre text, we're all going to die or something. I mean, military people, subcontractors telling us about the weirdness, why the Nazis wanted to have a base there in the 40s. None of that makes sense. What makes sense is something freaking weird is going down there, or has gone down there, or is down there. If they find pyramids down there, you're talking about rewriting the whole global history. And that's why Graham Hancock, for whatever he gets wrong and whatever he gets right, he is ostracized. They don't want to rewrite global human history. They like it the way it is.
I think
Graham that's Hancock. The biggest crux.
We love Graham Hancock.
Let me tell you something. I'm afraid, I'm speaking honestly here. I'm afraid to go to UFO cons and UFO conferences and stuff like that somebody will trigger me, my PTSD, and especially like about people that I'm endear that I am like their protector on the UFO playground. If I ever heard somebody picking on Graham Hancock in front of me or sit, I would kill them. I would bitch slap them into Mars.
Oil driver.
I've never met Graham, but I'm so protective. He's such a gentle, concerning, kind soul that is interested in finding the truth. And the same thing with Richard Doty. Freaking, I don't know what I would do if I saw somebody.
You see, Graham Hancock, with what's come out recently with Egypt, he could be proven right very, very soon with Egypt. With Richard Doty, I can understand why people are skeptic of him, and I think you should always take what he says sometimes with a pinch of salt because of his job.
You don't have to be rude.
We spoke to Richard for 3 hours and 7 minutes, and we don't know if he was telling us the truth or not. He told us that we can trust George Knapp. He told us we can trust Jeremy Corbell, and I do believe George Knapp, and I do believe we can. I think he is telling us the truth now, and I do think his job. Yeah. He went through it all. He lied to us. He was called Benowitz. He went through all them stories. We spoke a little bit about you, not much, but he said the alien interview tape's real. He said the alien interview tape's real, and he went into from the 50s.
I lied about everything in pro wrestling. My bio, how much I weighed, if I was injured, that it was a real championship, that I was really mad at my opponent. I was a total liar for 20 years. Does that mean I'm a liar now in my regular life? It's ridiculous. That was his job. He had a little rub against the military when he left. Nobody knows that. I do. And he feels that, to some degree, some of this information should be leaked out. And he is working, he said it himself, I'm working with people in the government that want to leak this information. Why do you think Doty's helping me also?
Can I ask you a question? Who do you think's bullshit?
Who do I think is bullshit?
Yeah, please. I want to know who Jon Stewart.
Who else I know? Not that he didn't. Well, not that he didn't work for the government. That he didn't know the agency correctly that he was working for. He didn't get correct his position or his stature with the agency. The overall seriousness of the agency, because we're trying to kind of finding out. It was a pet project, leaking fake photos. I like Lou. I think he's highly intelligent. I know he worked for the government. And him totally ignoring my alien interview investigation to the point where I would appreciate if he said, it's fake. It's fake. This is why it's fake. No problem. But to totally ignore my investigation and all the points of my investigation, knowing I'm just looking for the truth, to not even return my emails, he's an asshole. Lou, you're a fucking asshole.
Who else out there? Have you reached out?
And I think you're a nice guy. I think you're, wait a minute.
All right.
I think you're hyper intelligent. I respect your tenure and time in the military, coming from the guy that saved the North Chicago VA. Me,
and 2 other guys. So I can talk about the military. I respect you. I respect your service, but you're lackadaisical and not being able to pinpoint exactly what you did, when you did it, and fake videos. And that fucking Tic Tac video that was going 40 miles an hour, you presented it to my 2 friends, Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Keene, as going hypersonic. You're full of shit. So repent. Get yourself straight with the God. Get yourself straight with the Lord, and start being more specific and watch your words. Because if I gotta freaking do it to the community, you gotta do it. Because you hold more weight than me. You were in the military. Get straight with what comes out of your mouth. The UFO community deserves that.
I can see the American wrestler coming out in you there, John. It's fantastic.
And I'll say that directly to his face.
I just need Ed McMahon in the room, you know, just to be stood there next to you.
And I'll say that
with his mic in your face.
To lose face.
I was about to flip my desk, mate.
What do you think of
Lou Elizondo owes the UFO community that bought his books and supported him. You owe us incredibly precision specificity, right? On everything. And if you can't deliver that, please leave the cosmic room and don't let the UFO door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Can I ask your views on Dr. Stephen Greer and his claims at summoning the Phoenix Lights in 1997? What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, Stephen Greer may have gotten some things wrong, may have gotten some things right. When you're in the heat of the moment and you're so passionately connected to this information and the phenomenon, I don't judge anybody because I don't want anybody judging me. You don't like what Stephen Greer has said or did, don't buy his lectures, his books, or whatever. I don't know what else to tell you. All I can tell you is this, and I want people to listen to me. And I'm not defending either of them. What I am defending is how they treated me. With kindness, respect. They're gentlemen, and they've always answered every single email and text. The 2 most maligned men in ufology, Richard Doty and Dr. Stephen Greer, have done the most for my life, personally, professionally, in my investigation, than anyone else. If it wasn't for Doty and Greer, I never would have wrote a book. I failed English twice, and they helped me write a book about the second Roswell crash. Doty and Greer, when I was struggling to put the documentary out, said, use my footage. Dr. Greer said, use my footage with Doty, and you can integrate it in your documentary. Don't worry about it. So 2 guys helped me write a book, and I'll be put out a documentary. I'm not about to malign either one of them. They've been incredibly kind, gracious with me, and patience, because you need patience dealing with me. And I cannot say enough about Greer and Doty.
That's a total different answer to what we got with. With Doty.
Sorry, did he charge you for using that? Because we had somebody turn around and said that he offered to help them, but he wanted 50% of the annual revenue of their film.
The only thing with money in Hollywood deals, this is a great quick story. Dr. Greer, I sat there, I sent him all the documentation for his tetrabyte disclosure. I sat there with him for a half hour, went through piece by piece calmly, and he will tell you to be calm. And that's good because I need people to temper me. He said at the end, John, if you find Victor's identity and we can prove that, he's a real person, I will personally set up a meeting with you and Ted from Netflix. Not cut me in, not I want 50 grand. I want a part of the action. Just, I'm not going to put my head on the line to be embarrassed. If you find Victor's identity and prove it, I will literally get you a meeting with Ted from Netflix, the CEO of Netflix. So, pretty good guy, Dr. Stephen Greer. Pretty good guy. Love him. I love him to death.
That's brilliant, mate. I just want to kind of backtrack back to the heart monitor situation because there's something that I want to kind of focus on there. I want to look into if there's any sort of data there, Morse code binary for you. I'll try that, and if I find anything conclusive, I'll send it towards you.
Oh, please. That'd be incredible.
And also, I want to kind of get your thoughts. Like, have you ever thought about that? If this is a form of communication that the alien or the ET at the time could kind of picked up that they were clocking on some sort of information, and that's why he was panicking potentially as well. Was that kind of a reaction?
Well, another person, just conjecture, just his opinion, said that he felt that when the monitor blip started to go erratic, that was the being signaling the telepath, because there were telepaths behind the partition glass. That was signaling that was signaling to the telepath, I'm communicating a thought to you. Because it wasn't ESP, it was thought projection. They would put the picture and the thought in your brain simultaneously.
Wow.
Allegedly.
It's just something about it that's all one specific I've always been hyper focused on, because I've always thought that is there some sort of communication in that? Is it not just a heartbeat? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to have to delve into it a bit deeper.
And the monk, do you know the monk in that video is still alive? One of our investigators visited him at the monastery in Vermont. Folks, I am not lying to you. 2 months ago, visited him in Vermont. He's 91 years old. He said that several brothers of that monastery have the gift, and they were used by U.S. intelligence for all sorts of intelligence missions. Most importantly, he said, a lot of us, he said, went to West Germany or East Germany for counterintelligence to help with interrogating alleged spies and alleged moles, and they were used primarily for that in West Germany during the 60s. And he's still alive. He's 91. His nose time has come. We showed his picture in our documentary, and he was the telepath in that room, communicating with that being, allegedly.
Wow.
And he said that the beings use what's called time sequence. Listen to me here. He said it was unbelievable. They're so far intelligent than us that simple concepts took hours and days to get them to understand, like minutes, days, times, weeks, months. The being, it took hours, if not days, to teach the being what an hour or what weeks and months were, because he said the being, and this took a long time for the government to understand, use what they extrapolated as time sequence, that this extraterrestrial species measured time through experiences.
Right.
And not linear minutes, times, months, weeks, years. Fascinating. I couldn't even make that up if I tried. It was just, but that was the thing that struck that monk the most, of how hard it was to teach the extraterrestrials very basic human concepts, because they were so intelligent, perhaps thousands of years ahead of us in intelligence.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, like Catholics and stuff in that nature. Why is it usually like Catholics and things, or I don't know, like these type of religious priests and stuff, or monks? How are they connecting to these things primarily? Like, is there a reason for it?
Well, I never told this on here's another thing I've never told anybody. So here's the story very quickly. There's remote viewing taking place in the early 60s in an intel agency. You pick one. And the remote viewer keeps seeing a building that's being built, a white building that's being built in, they figure out, Vermont. And the remote viewer keeps seeing men with this telepathic or ESP or also remote viewing gift. They keep calling it the gift. And the government sends a team to find this building. They find it. They realize it's a monastery and that they're building part of, whether it's new construction or they're adding on. And they talk to the people that run, the monks that run the monastery. and through a months and years, find out that several brothers had this gift of telepathy, remote viewing, ESP, the gift of perception, the ability to conduct thought projection with extraterrestrials, and primarily they were used for telepathy or thought projection with the extraterrestrials, and what he said was counterintelligence missions, for lack of a better word, in Eastern Europe. It's just crazy.
Mate, thank you so much. Dude, you've been amazing, John. I really appreciate all your answers, and you're just going at it like an absolute train, man. So I appreciate that. Anyone else? Does anyone else like to answer some questions?
I just want to ask him, John. I always ask this to people that come on. Are we going to get a Jon Stewart TikTok account, please?
I made a solemn promise to my wife and to my therapist: no more social media. But my daughters, I'm writing a. I'm not even going to say that because you'll laugh at me. But I need to get some sort of a TikTok account professionally for what I'm doing in the segment in the entertainment industry, but it's not going to be under my name or anything like that. But yeah, I'm done with social media. The people from Reddit and X have destroyed my brain.
This is why I promote TikTok. We're not
back.
like X. We're not like X.
I know that. I know that.
It's too much like there's a war going on X. Yeah. There is a war going on. There's disinformation on X, and they're playing off against each other. I even think that disinformation people are fighting against other disinformation people.
Oh, sure.
Giving people, oh, you believe this guy, but both of them are bullshit. So I try and steer people to this.
If I go on TikTok, it'll be through my agent. And I'm not being Joe Hollywood. I'm just saying it'll be through my agent or one of my daughters.
We can help you if you come on TikTok. We can certainly help you get the followers up and get yourself seen.
Okay, cool.
Think about it.
I will definitely look you up if that needs to happen.
Have you got anything you want to promote?
People, the documentary is still up and running. Again, folks, there is nobody in the history of ufology that gives you more names, more dates, shows the faces, shows the monk, shows what I thought was my main leaker, my main whistleblower, Stan Dale, Victor, talks about Victor, shows you Victor's picture, shows you a CIA agent named Spartacus, who was one of the instrumental people with this extraterrestrial program. We give you the dates, the codes, the names of these facilities south of Area 51. There's no one in the UFO community that has done this. When you're done with this documentary, you're not going to go, I wish John would have. No, I give it to you all. And that's just going on huntingvictor.com, our website, and you'll see the pay-per-view link. It's $8. It's like buying me a cup of coffee.
Brilliant, mate.
Can I ask you a question, John? Can I ask you a quick question, John? Oh, sorry. Do you know if Bill Moore's still alive?
I just asked Rick Doty this 10 days ago, if you believe it or not. We believe that he still is alive, either living in France or in an unknown disclosed place in California. And he is not Victor. He does not have the facial structure of Victor. Victor has no upper lip, looks like fetal alcohol syndrome. He's got kind of a bigger jaw. I have the picture, the artist rendition of what the director said Victor looked like, also matching up with the Reddit photo. It's not Bill Moore, although Bill Moore was a perfect candidate for being Victor. He is not Victor.
Do you think there's definitely a conversation there, though, if we can get hold of him to have a conversation, see? Do you think he'd open up?
I give my right arm to talk to Bill Moore. Bill Moore probably knows just as much as Doty, but can talk more about things than Doty.
Yeah. I would love to get him.
Have you ever thought that Victor potentially could have had any sort of like plastic surgery done to alter his appearance, or have anything like a mask or anything?
So I get caught again. Did I tell this to Cliff? Yeah, I did tell this to Cliff because I read the email. So an intel person wrote to me. He said, I could tell you about Victor from a contact he has. He said, Stanton John Willett, definitely a real person. Victor was a real person. He worked for EG&G. He was also on the periphery, an ancillary member of MJ-12. He was instructed to release this video as part of a public acclamation program. His identity was scrubbed. His identity was sheep-dipped. He was given an assumed identity, which Victor says in '08. He says, I'm on the lam. I'm on the run. He was given an assumed identity from a child that died at birth right around the alleged time Victor was born, which we think was 1943 to 1953. And we believe Victor, still alive, is living under an assumed name.
Wow.
And I don't think that's hard to believe. But his last known residence was Cucamonga, California, as crazy and funny as that sounds. And there is a nest of Willett family members that live there. Are they related to Stanton Willett? We are going to find out this later this summer.
Also,
Jon Stewart's going there.
Have we got another film coming out then from you?
Well, we are trying to put a 6-figure docuseries on streaming platform right now. So hopefully, yes, but I can't say for sure. If it doesn't go to fruition, I will go back in with new talking footage, highly more produced, with the alien interview case closed, and also telling you the entire saga of Stanton John Willett. So if the streaming service, and I can't see it not happening, doesn't come to fruition, we will go and recut the documentary, polish it up, and go from there, and release it for free this time.
Right. Could I just say?
Balthazar has been.
Oh, go on, mate.
He's been. I'm sorry. Balthazar has been stated as saying that if he could do it all over again, this time he wouldn't go about it the way he did. He would basically stay quiet and keep his job at S4. Do you think it would be Victor would have done it the same, or you think he would have maybe kept it to himself and gone on about it a whole different way?
That's a great question. I think they picked Victor because they knew he was disgruntled, because they knew he felt this information, part of it should be released to the public. So I think as a way to pacify Victor, they let him release it. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I think he would have done a more conclusive job. He would have demanded that we see the hands of the being, right? Or the being walking into the room. Wouldn't that have solidified that it's not a puppet? And I think Victor, this is my opinion. I think Victor would have done something to make it foolproof, like, here it is. And I think walking into the room, sitting down on the chair, showing the being's hands would have probably done that job. And I think Victor because Victor was so upset that the UFO community was taking it for face value, or just outright discounting it, nobody doing any serious investigation. That really upset him.
At the time Bob Lazar came out, John, a lot of people that were coming forward with UFO information and things like that were going missing all the time, let's just say. What's so special about Bob Lazar in regards to the amount of information that he's released? Why do you think nobody's actually gone after Bob Lazar, is basically what I'm trying to say? Because for me, that doesn't make sense. For me, I feel like Bob Lazar was chosen by the American government to release this information.
Well, it was recently spoke about he could have been an MK Ultra victim by Hal Putter on Joe Rogan.
I believe there is a chance that Bob could have been helped, cajoled, guided to release this information. Outside chance. But then again, I go back to my old school, the simplest explanation. The simplest explanation is Bob knew he was working on some really freaky, secretive stuff. They stopped calling him to come out there, and he got worried he was going to get whacked. And they stopped calling him because his wife was having an affair. Simple explanation. Not that Bob was looking at a bean, or no, they just couldn't trust Bob anymore because his wife was screwing a flight instructor. So they cut Bob off. The security guard that came forward 8 years ago to Wendell Stevens. Forget about whether you believe it or not. Why did he come forward? They cut off his debit card. Not he wanted to save the world. Money. Simple explanations, folks. They're stopped calling me. I think they're going to kill me now. No. So Bob came forward because he thought they were going to kill him. They didn't kill him because he was too hot. He was too public, too visible, which was smart by Bob Lazar. And I believe there, for many people, that there were people in the government that wanted this disclosure, that wanted this information leaked, and they did a hands off to Bob Lazar. I believe Bob Lazar was protected by certain segments of the U.S. government and still is, in a good way, meaning we want disclosure, leave him alone. And I believe the same goes for Jon Stewart. I absolutely believe that.
Did you meet Wendell Stevens? Have you met him?
Never.
No.
My biggest regret was not Wendell and not flying to John Lear's house. I sent my cousin to John Lear's house. He couldn't get in. It was like a fortress. And I once had John Lear's phone number. I now have John Lear's daughter's information. And I'm going to go down to Florida and go in John Lear's storage locker, which I'm going to film. That's going to be interesting. And but no, I wish I would have called and talked to all these luminaries. Now, I talked to Lear in 1997 about a UFO subject. I paid $20. You could talk to him for like 10 minutes. And you know, I would just have loved to sit down with him. I think John Lear knew who Victor was. I really do. And it just I kicked myself for not following up with him sooner before he died.
That's brilliant, mate. Thank you so much. Is there anything
You're
else?
welcome. Thank you for having me.
No, it's been a pleasure.
I've got one last quick question. Yeah,
sure.
This is not to seem cliche, but John, do you ever feel haunted by the tape? Not in like a spooky sense, but more so by your involvement and the potential weight and the gravity that your investigation, potentially is uncovered or is uncovering still. Does that ever bring a weight to you in a sense?
If I tell you what I was told by two people, you'll laugh at me. It'll be put on Vetted and the Jesse
Right,
Michael
can I just say
show
something?
to
I
laugh
watch
at me.
Vetted. We don't promote Vetted. Vetted's just a
I know.
new channel. Don't worry about
I'm
that.
joking. I'm joking. But they could use this. People use stuff to. I've had two people tell me in all seriousness, not that they know, they just put out the question. Do you think to some degree you were chosen to do what you did by something? I don't know. Haunted? Absolutely. Why do you think I started? Why do you think it grabbed me in 97? This thing is stuck on my brain forever. I can't shake it. Do I feel ominous? No. Do I feel like I'm showing some kid that's maybe not real smart, that maybe doesn't have a lot of money or impoverished circumstances, or feels that he hasn't been given advantage, that he could do something miraculous with his life? Yes, because I'm not smart. And I am the last guy in the world to go and prove what the truth is about this film. The last guy in the world. And if I could do this, other people in other circumstances can accomplish great things also. And that's, I hope, the message people get, that don't let your lack of this or lack of that stop you from something that you feel in your heart, in your mind, that you can do, that you can set out to. And I begged for people's help. And I can't tell people enough that we can't do this alone in life. You have to reach out to people. You have to ask for people's help, partner up, get role models, ask for people's help. Believe it or not, they'll give it to you. And that's the message. So ominous, no. Relieved that I got how far I got with this? Absolutely. Absolutely grateful for the Doties, the Greers, the Lazars, the Linda Howells. Oh my God. My whistleblowers that risked their pension and their life to help a crazy car dealer. Yes. So grateful. And that's, I think, why I'm such a happy place in my life right now.
Well, I'm going to ask a question not many people ask you. How were you, Jon Stewart, mate? How were you as an individual, and how is your life going after this? How do you feel in yourself? Are you feeling better, happier?
Yeah, I'm a happier man.
Good.
I'm believe it or not, people have all told me in the car business, old wrestling friends, my family members, my children, my wife, Daddy, you're different. You're not as hyper as you used to be, and you could tell your life is calmer. Like they're. And I'm not saying I was visited ever. I'm just saying, like, it's funny. These abductees mention sometimes like a calmness that comes over their life after an encounter. And I don't know, just after doing this, there is a calmness and a satisfaction and a weird happy complacency that has permeated my life. I can look you in the eye and tell you I am the happiest I've ever been. And that's coming from a guy that's done some pretty fun and exciting things with his life, like wrestling and running for governor and, you know, the automobile industry. I've done some really exciting things. I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I think it has to do a lot of what I went through in this investigation, that I came out on the other side, that I literally risked my life, and that I think the world, the people will be better off. And just a little part in my little segment is going to help out people finding the truth about this, which is all I've ever wanted to do for people of this country, is just to help them find, and myself, to find the truth.
Yeah, man.
Helping us in the UK as well, John. You're helping us in the UK.
Absolutely, man.
Of course. I love the UK. I tell everyone, when I was over there, I went all over London, Nottinghamshire, Sheffield, Liverpool.
Great football team in Nottingham.
The nicest people on. I've traveled around the world. I'm not saying this, and I'm not being glib. The nicest human beings in the world are in England. You people are unbelievable. How kind you are. It's unbelievable.
John, if you ever come over here, mate, just let us all know. We'll all meet up with you and we'll have a beer, mate.
I've just got one last quick question for you. Could you tell us what your wrestling name was and what your finishing maneuver was?
Yeah, I started off as the Beach Boy with the WWF in '87, and I became the illustrious Jon Stewart. And my finishing move nobody ever mimics it. Instead of a cross body block, right? I shoot the guy into the ropes. Instead of giving him a cross body block where I hit his body with my chest, I move over and I hit the underneath of his chin with my flying knee, but as a cross body block. Oh, and if the opponent took a good bump, it looked explosive, and nobody's ever mimicked it. So yeah, that was my finishing move.
You look in good health. You see a lot of these wrestlers nowadays. The knees have gone, the hips have gone. They can't walk hardly. You're looking good, Nick. So
no drugs, literally no recreational drugs, no prescription pain medication, no narcotics, very little drinking, and I've never tried a cigarette. I'm not saying I'm a saint, but I'll tell you what, the no smoking and the no heavy drinking, that has served me well. Yeah.
High on life, baby.
just on your wrestling career, what was your favourite match, and who would you say the biggest name in wrestling was that you fought in that era? Because I heard you mention Arn Anderson back.
I would say my biggest match. Well, I wrestled for the light heavyweight championship of the world on ESPN in '90. That was against Buck Sumoff, who is in prison right now. So I don't. But to wrestle for the light heavyweight championship, I was only 22 years old. I was still in college. I think it's a pretty big deal. But my biggest match was Sergeant Slaughter on the ESPN main event. When I wrestled him in '90, he was a pitch man for Coca-Cola. You could buy kids' party supplies with his logo. He was on the G.I. Joe commercial. I mean, this guy was the top tier in wrestling. Right after he wrestled me, he main evented with Hulk Hogan on WrestleMania. So that was my top match ever, was Sergeant Slaughter.
Someone just said you wrestled Bret Hart. Have you wrestled Bret Hart?
Yes, I wrestled Bret Hart and Jimmy.
That's the biggest one. Surely that's the biggest one. Bret Hart.
I wrestled the $1 Million Man too. But as the Beach Boys, my partner and I wrestled the Hart Foundation. Bret was so nice. Such a great guy. Great worker. I like it. Great work.
We had Jason Sands on the other week, and we had Lenville Logan, and I nicknamed
Good
him
friend of mine.
I nicknamed him the Dudley Boys. The Dudley Boys. That's what I nicknamed them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Jason Sands a great guy. Great.
Right, I'm going to say, if we ever meet up in person, me and you are going to have a wrestle for disclosure, all right?
Let's do it.
Couple of beers, we're going in.
Let's do it. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, mate.
I really appreciate it.
I wish you all the
It was a pleasure, John.
My orange
Cheers,
hands.
John.
Yeah, no, much appreciated, John. Really do appreciate it, and it's been
Thank
really
you.
good to talk to you.
Get a TikTok, mate, so we can have more chats for you over the coming years.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And we'll promote it. Just let us know and we'll promote your channel and we'll get your followers straight up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mate,
You got it.
So you're talking.
Thank you.
So UFOs around the world's got 250,000 followers.
Holy shit. Okay.
Biggest UK TikTok.
And I'll tell you now, I stay away from X. I'm on there, but I stay away from it.
Smart man.
I've asked Ashton Forbes to come on here. He's coming here. Jason Sanders coming here. Who else have we got on here, guys? We've got
Lamble's here. Jason's here.
Even Jason's here. We've got so many people. We try and get over it.
Do you guys remember the scene? Do you guys remember the scene in Rocky 2 when Apollo Creed is on the elevated stairwell and he's reading the hate mail to his wife?
Yeah.
He's like, that was me with Reddit posts. These Reddit people destroyed me. I mean, the things they said about me were all my feelings. They were awful. Fat, crazy Italian used car salesman, piece of shit.
The most used area for Reddit is a military base, which is known for disinformation. And that's what it pushes disinformation on Reddit.
Scary.
It is seriously infiltrated with bullshit. Reddit. So you got to be careful with Reddit.
Yeah. My one daughter, she's real passionate. She's like, when she was like, about 2 years ago, she's like, Daddy, stop reading the comments on YouTube and Reddit. Stop it, Daddy. I'm like, your dad can't. I'm crazy. I have to read the comments.
John, mate, I wish you all the health and happiness, mate, and keep doing you, mate.
Thank you. You guys are sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for your time,
John.
sir.
Thanks for meeting you, John.
Okay, thanks.
Get some water.
Take care.
Cheers, John. Thank you.
We'll see you.